October 27, 2025. 2 hours ago, President Trump stepped off Air Force One in Tokyo. Reporters immediately asked him about something that shouldn't have happened. 2 U.S. Navy aircraft, a helicopter and a fighter jet, both crashed into the South China Sea within 30 minutes of each other, from the same aircraft carrier, during routine operations. Trump's response? Very unusual. They think it might be bad fuel. Bad fuel. On America's oldest nuclear-powered supercarrier, operating in the world's most contested waters during what could be the vessel's final deployment before retirement. 5 crew members rescued, 2 aircraft worth $70 million gone, and a mystery that's raising questions the Pentagon doesn't want to answer. This is the story of what really happened on October 26, 2025, and why it matters far more than anyone is saying. The USS Nimitz isn't just any aircraft carrier. She's a legend. CVN-68, the lead ship of her class. Commissioned May 3, 1975. Over 50 years of continuous service. At 1,092 feet long, displacing more than 100,000 tons, powered by 2 nuclear reactors, she's one of the largest warships ever built. And she's dying. The USS Nimitz departed Naval Base Kitsap in Washington State on March 21, 2025, for what the Navy confirmed would be her final deployment. 7 months at sea, operations in the Western Pacific, a detour to the Middle East during the height of tensions with Iran, and then back to the South China Sea, the world's most dangerous maritime flashpoint, for one last show of force before retirement in 2026. For 5 decades, the Nimitz has been everywhere. Operation Eagle Claw, the failed Iran hostage rescue in 1980, Desert Storm in 1991, Afghanistan and Iraq after 9/11, countless freedom of navigation operations challenging China's territorial claims over nearly 90% of these strategic waters. She's launched over 400,000 sorties, steamed over 1 million nautical miles, hosted 3 generations of American sailors. But age catches up to everything, even legends. Even supercarriers. By October 2025, the Nimitz was operating in the South China Sea as part of Carrier Strike Group 11, 4 destroyers, 75 aircraft, 4,500 crew members, conducting what the Navy calls maritime security operations, a polite term for reminding China that the United States doesn't recognize Beijing's territorial claims over nearly 90% of these strategic waters. It should have been routine. After 50 years, everything on a carrier is routine. Launch aircraft, recover aircraft. Maintain a 24/7 cycle of flight operations that keeps American power projected across the Pacific. Except on October 26th, routine shattered. Sunday afternoon, 2:45 p.m. local time. The MH-60R Seahawk helicopter, tail number unknown, was conducting what the Navy described as routine operations from the Nimitz flight deck. The MH-60R isn't some training helicopter. It's a Seahawk, a $70 million maritime strike helicopter designed for anti-submarine warfare, surface warfare, search and rescue, and electronic surveillance. It's equipped with advanced radar, sonobuoys, torpedoes, and Hellfire missiles. The Navy operates about 300 of them across the fleet. This particular Seahawk belonged to Helicopter Maritime Strike Squadron 73, call sign Battle Cats. 3 crew members aboard, pilot, co-pilot, sensor operator, all highly trained naval aviators with hundreds of flight hours. And then, without warning, the helicopter went down. The Pacific Fleet's official statement was clinical. At approximately 2:45 p.m. local time, a U.S. Navy MH-60R Seahawk helicopter, assigned to the Battle Cats of Helicopter Maritime Strike Squadron 73, went down in the waters of the South China Sea while conducting routine operations from the aircraft carrier USS Nimitz. No specifics, no cause, no details about what went down actually means. Did the helicopter crash on takeoff? Did it experience mechanical failure mid-flight? Did it lose power during landing approach? The Navy isn't saying.
What we do know is that search and rescue assets assigned to Carrier Strike Group 11 immediately launched. Multiple helicopters, surface vessels, the entire strike group went into emergency response mode. Within minutes, all 3 crew members were recovered from the water, alive, stable condition, no serious injuries reported. One helicopter, $70 million, sunk somewhere in the South China Sea. And then, 30 minutes later, it happened again. 3:15 p.m., 30 minutes after the Seahawk went down, an A-18F Super Hornet, America's primary carrier-based fighter jet, also crashed into the South China Sea. The Super Hornet is the backbone of U.S. naval aviation, a $60 million twin-engine multi-role fighter capable of air-to-air combat, air-to-ground strikes, and electronic warfare. It flies at Mach 1.8, carries sophisticated radar and weapon systems, can launch from a carrier deck and land on a pitching flight deck in the middle of the ocean at night. Pilots spend years training to fly them. They don't just fall out of the sky. This particular F/A-18F belonged to Strike Fighter Squadron 22, the Fighting Redcocks, a storied squadron with a history dating back to World War II. 2 crew members aboard, pilot and weapons systems officer. The official statement: at 3:15 p.m., an F/A-18F Super Hornet fighter assigned to the Fighting Redcocks of Strike Fighter Squadron 22 also went down in the waters of the South China Sea while conducting routine operations from Nimitz. Both crew members successfully ejected and were also safely recovered. Both crew members ejected. That tells us something. Ejection seats are a last resort. When pilots eject, it means the aircraft is unrecoverable. It means systems have failed catastrophically. It means they're seconds from hitting the water. And they made it out. Search and rescue helicopters pulled them from the South China Sea. Stable condition, safe. But another $60 million worth of American military hardware was gone. 2 aircraft within 30 minutes from the same carrier during routine operations. The Navy called it unusual. Trump called it very unusual. Naval aviation experts called it unprecedented. Because in 50 years of Nimitz's operational history, nothing like this has ever happened. Here's what makes this even more concerning. The South China Sea crashes aren't isolated incidents. They're part of a disturbing pattern. The F/A-18 Super Hornet fleet has hemorrhaged aircraft in 2025. This is at least the 4th Super Hornet the Navy has lost this year, and it's only October. December 2024, a Super Hornet from the USS Harry Truman was shot down by the cruiser USS Gettysburg in the Red Sea. Friendly fire. Both pilots ejected safely, but the Navy lost a $60 million aircraft to its own missile. April 2025, another Super Hornet fell overboard from the Truman in the Red Sea. The carrier made a hard, evasive turn to avoid Houthi missile fire. The aircraft was being towed in the hangar bay. The move crew lost control. Aircraft and tow tractor went overboard, lost at sea. May 2025, a 3rd Super Hornet crashed attempting a nighttime landing on the Truman. The aircraft's tailhook failed to catch the arresting wire. The jet plunged into the Red Sea. Both crew members ejected. Aircraft sank. August 2025, an F/A-18F crashed during a training flight off Virginia. Details remain classified, but the aircraft was destroyed. And now, October 2025, two more losses, a Seahawk helicopter and a Super Hornet, both from the Nimitz, both within 30 minutes. That's at least 7 naval aviation losses in 10 months, over $400 million in destroyed aircraft, and, while every crew member survived, a testament to training and safety systems, the losses themselves tell a darker story. Something is wrong. Naval aviation is dangerous. Carrier operations are inherently risky. Launching and recovering aircraft from a moving ship in all weather conditions, day and night, requires precision that leaves zero margin for error. But this many losses, this quickly, from multiple carriers, across multiple theaters, Red Sea, South China Sea, East Coast training operations, the Navy calls it unusual. The Navy insists each incident is unrelated. Separate investigations, different causes, mechanical failures, human error, bad weather, hostile action. But pattern recognition is a survival instinct, and this pattern screams systemic problem. They think it might be bad fuel. Trump made that statement aboard Air Force One flying from Malaysia to Japan the day after the crashes. He was asked directly what caused 2 aircraft to go down within 30 minutes. His answer was very unusual. They think it might be bad fuel. We're going to find out. Nothing to hide, sir. Bad fuel. Contaminated aviation fuel. It's not impossible. In fact, it's happened before. The Nimitz is powered by 2 Westinghouse A4W nuclear reactors. Those reactors generate steam that drives turbines. But the aircraft? They run on JP5 jet fuel. Thousands of gallons stored in multiple tanks throughout the ship. Fuel transferred to aircraft during flight operations. If fuel is contaminated, water, particulates, biological growth, it can cause engine failure. Both the Seahawk's turboshaft engines and the Super Hornets F414 turbofans depend on clean fuel. Contaminated fuel means power loss. Power loss during takeoff or landing? Fatal. The Navy is investigating fuel supply as a possible cause. They're testing samples from the Nimitz's fuel tanks. They're reviewing refueling procedures. They're checking maintenance logs. But here's the problem. If it was bad fuel, why didn't more aircraft crash? The Nimitz operates 75 aircraft, dozens of sorties per day. Helicopters, fighters, early warning aircraft, cargo planes. If the entire carrier's fuel supply was contaminated, we'd see mass casualties, aircraft dropping from the sky across hours or days, emergency landings, aborted takeoffs. Instead, we got 2 aircraft, 30 minutes apart, both recovered safely. That doesn't sound like fuel contamination. That sounds like something else. The Pacific Fleet's official statement was careful. All personnel involved are safe and in stable condition. The cause of both incidents is currently under investigation. Notice what's missing. No mention of hostile action. No mention of mechanical failure. No mention of weather. No mention of pilot error. Just under investigation. The Navy also refused to disclose the Nimitz's exact location, operational security, standard procedure. But tracking websites showed the carrier operating approximately 230 kilometers northeast of Malaysia's Great Natuna Island, deep in the South China Sea, waters claimed by China, waters patrolled by People's Liberation Army Navy vessels. Was there a confrontation? Did Chinese ships or aircraft harass the Nimitz during operations? Did electronic warfare disrupt navigation or communication systems? The Navy won't say, but China's foreign ministry made an interesting statement the next day. Spokesperson Gu Jiakan offered humanitarian assistance to the United States, a polite diplomatic gesture or a subtle reminder that China was watching. Then there's the timing. The Nimitz's crashes occurred while President Trump was conducting a diplomatic tour of Asia. He'd just left Malaysia. He was heading to Tokyo. And on Thursday, he was scheduled to meet Chinese President Xi Jinping for high-stakes trade talks. Relations between Washington and Beijing had been tense for months. Trade wars, technology restrictions, military buildups, Taiwan tensions, South China Sea confrontations. And now, America's oldest aircraft carrier, operating in waters China claims as its own, just lost 2 aircraft in 30 minutes. Coincidence? Maybe. But in geopolitics, there are no coincidences. Some analysts speculated about electronic warfare. China possesses sophisticated jamming and spoofing capabilities. Could they have disrupted the Nimitz's communication or navigation systems? Could they have interfered with aircraft control systems? The Navy denies it. No evidence of hostile action, no indication of external interference. But they would say that, wouldn't they? Admitting that a foreign power disrupted American naval operations would be a massive intelligence failure and a public relations disaster. The truth is, we don't know, and the Navy isn't talking. Here's what we do know. The USS Nimitz is old, 50 years old, ancient by modern naval standards. Yes, she's undergone multiple refuelings and complex overhauls. Yes, her systems have been upgraded. Yes, she's still operationally capable. But metal fatigues, systems degrade, maintenance becomes more complex and expensive, parts become harder to source. The Nimitz-class carriers were designed for a 50-year service life. The Nimitz herself is now operating on borrowed time. Her retirement.
That means the Navy is operating with effectively 9 or 10 carriers to cover the entire world: Atlantic, Pacific, Middle East, Mediterranean, Caribbean. It's not enough. Carriers are being deployed longer. Maintenance is being deferred. Crews are exhausted. The Nimitz was supposed to retire months ago. Instead, she was sent to the Middle East during the Iran crisis, then back to the South China Sea for deterrence operations against China. 7 months at sea. Thousands of flight operations. Constant stress on aging systems. And now, 2 aircraft down in 30 minutes.